ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So, welcome to our Saturday morning session. We shall continue on our journey of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, Shraddha Traya Vibhag Yog. Now, in the last session, we saw that the three varieties of food, Sattvic, Rasic, and Tamasic. Now, today we will see Yajna, the three varieties of Yajna, how this happens. Now, Yajna normally we think cannot be Tamasic, but that is not true. It is Tamasic, Rasic, and Sattvic, all three variations of Yajna have been described by Lord Krishna. So, we will take the verse number 11 first, where he describes the three most important part of yajna which make it sattvic. The first one is yastvayam. Yastvayam is actually you do yajna thinking that this is your duty to do it. You consider it as your duty, not as an obligation on anybody else, not with the desire of gaining something, but just as duty. So that is yastvayam. Then next is afala kankshibhi. That is, we do it without any desire to get something in return. There is no desire. Afala means फल की आकांक्षा नहीं हो. फल की आकांक्षा बिल्कुल नहीं हो. That is what he says. So the first thing is that you should do it as duty. The second one is without fal ki akanksha. The third one is samadhai. Samadhai means you are absolutely satisfied with it. That you do not, need anything more beyond that. Then vidhi drasto, that is you do as per the prescribed norms of Shastras. So that is what Lord Krishna says. So let us read this verse now. जो शास्त्र विधि से नियत यज्ञ करना ही कर्तव्य है, इस प्रकार मन को समाधान करके फल न चाहने वाले पुरुषों द्वारा जो यज्ञ किया जाता है वह सात्विक यज्ञ है. So there are four conditions here that we do this yajna as duty. We do it without any desire in return. We do it as per the prescribed norms of the Shastras, and we do it as, absolutely satisfied in our mind that this is what we need to do. So that yajna is sattvic. Now this is time to understand what is yajna. Yajna has a very, I would say, different connotation in today's world. So we should understand what is yajna. Now, one yajna which we know normally is that we have fire and we put ahuti in the fire as per the prescribed norms. Somebody is reciting the mantras. For example, they are doing in Ram temple now the yajna. And we do yajna in, for example, at the time of moving into a new house. We do a yajna, we open a new business center. So that is the beginning where we actually invite the good wishes of the Devtas, the various Devic forces, the various divine forces that impact on us, we invite their good wishes so that there is no problem later on. So this is what we normally understand by yajna, that we have a fire kund, in that ahuti is given. Then there is a priest who will be reciting mantras, and then you will desire that all your activities are done without any hurdle, without any problem, and you invite the good wishes of the divine powers that are governing this universe. So that is the first meaning of yajna which we do. Now, yajna is not that alone. In the nature, we have yajna all the time. Yajna is being performed in the natural way in variety of ways. Even in our own daily life, we perform yajna in variety of ways. Now there are two factors in yajna. One is Agni and second is Som. Agni is the fire. It has three facets. Agni has three facets. One facet is the fire which you actually ignite and you see, that is the fire. The second is Vayu, that is the air, that is the movement of the fire. And third one is Aditya. Aditya is the one like the sun rays, which is fire, but it is more like illuminating fire. That is called Tejas or Aditya. So the fire has three different forms, that is fire itself, then Vayu, and then Aditya. That is what Vedic scriptures describe about fire. Now, when we do yajna, the fire in any of these forms could be present. And then Som. Som is the food for the fire, which is provided to keep that fire burning. So that is called Som. For example, we also use Som for Chandrama, for the moon. Why? Because when sun is not there, when Aditya is not there, the moon keeps providing the fire of the sun. And that is why it is called Som. So the fire which comes, or the Aditya which comes from the sun to the moon, is shining, and therefore the moon keeps that Aditya alive or that fire alive, and that is why it is called Som. Now let us understand this meaning of Som and Agni. For example, we heat the water. Now, when the water is heated, there is a fire in the water, and that water is the Som, the fire is the heat or Agni. So the water from that Agni gets transformed into water vapor. So that is Yajna. That is the Yajna in the nature, that the fire is transforming water into water vapor and then into clouds. Now, again, when the rain falls, the same process happens again. The fire releases the water, and the water comes back on the earth in the form of rain and snow. So, that is the process of nature. Now, let's understand in so many other ways. For example, we eat our food. Now, there is fire inside our body, the hunger is the fire. Then, the food we eat is the som. That som assimilates with fire and turns into our body. The seven parts of our body, starting from juice and blood and bones and flesh, etc., that happens because of the yajna happening inside the body. So the yajna actually helps in assimilating the som which we are taking, the food we are taking. Through the fire, it gets assimilated into our body. So that is yajna. Similarly, we have, you know, fertility. For example, you put a seed of a tree. Now, seed of the tree is sown in the earth. Earth has that fertility. It is the fertility comes from that fire. When the fire is absorbed into the soil, the fertility takes place, and that fertility converts that seed into a plant and then plant into a tree. So that is also a yajna. The seed is the soul, the fertility of earth is the fire. The soul and fire they unite and they create a big plant, the plant which provides us fruits and flowers, etc. So the variety of ways, even the sexual act through which reproduction takes place, that is also the fire and the soul they come together and they produce a new life. So that is also a yajna in that way. So the yajna is happening in the nature with the natural force, the two natural forces, that is the fire. The fire has the power to assimilate other things into it and then converting or transforming into a third category. So that process is called yajna. And this is also the time to understand that this yajna is happening all the time in variety of ways in this nature, in this universe. It is also happening in our body. So the soul is getting converted, transformed into something else, and then that something else provides energy to move forward. It may be progeny, it could be tree, it could be fruit, it could be clouds that are forming. So there are variety of things which are happening. All that is part of the yajna by nature. So basically, yajna here means the power of the fire, which actually assimilates the som into it and transform the som into a third force. Now, why do we worship fire? This is one of the reasons, most important reason that we worship fire. You see, fire has the power of not only transformation, but also the highest cleaning is done by fire. We clean with water. The air also helps in cleaning. But the best cleaning, the what you call transformative cleaning, is done by fire. Whatever, for example, you are cleaning the vessel, like cleaning your utensils. Some of the utensils are not you are not able to clean with soap and water. Then what do? You put hot water there. That's the fire. You put that hot water which helps you in cleaning that vessel, cleaning that utensil. That heat of the fire helps in cleaning. The garbage which you cannot reprocess, ultimately, what do? You put it on fire and it is cleaned completely. It transformed into a different form. So that is the reason the fire plays a very important role in this whole process. Fire is a most potent element in regulating the life. The other day we were talking about sun and its power. The sun is one form of fire. That is the Aditya. That is why it's called Aditya. That is a shining form that is called a Tejas form of fire. The other form of fire is the one when we put wood in the fire and the fire is ignited. That is another form. And the wind which blows, that is another form of fire because it has that power of the fire which helps in transforming things. So the Vedic literature, particularly the Vedas themselves, they describe fire into these three categories, and they talk about yajna in the nature, yajna in our body, yajna by us. So the yajna is the process through which we regulate the life in variety of forms, whether in the nature or whether in our own life. That regulation is happening through yajna, and that is why yajna takes a very important stage in Vedic literature, in our shastras. Now, how do we use the yajna which is performed in temples to invite good visage of the divine? How do we do that? Here also the fire has a very special characteristic. You know, the things which are unknown, the things which are not manifest, avyakt, you cannot reach those avyakt things through your words or through your sight or through your hands. You don't know where they are because they are uh, completely non manifest. So, how do we reach the non manifest divinity? To reach the non manifest divinity, we put ahuti in the fire, and the fire takes it in the form of, what you call rage of the fire. It goes all over in the universe, and through that process, it reaches depending on our wishes. If we pray properly in our heart, then that ahuti reaches to the supreme through that process, through that heat which transits through the universe. So the transmission of fire happens through akash into an infinite form, and that form takes our ahuti to the divine powers. So this is what Vedic writings state very clearly, that it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, actually, chapter number 6, that when uh, you invite the good visage of a divine power. For example, you want to invite the good visage of Braspati. Now we don't know where the Braspati is because he is non-manifest. Now we want to, you know, in order to get it good visage, we uh, prepare food for him. That food is the ahuti. We put that ahuti into the fire, and through the fire, we pray to him that this food reaches to Braspati, and he in turn gives us good visage for whatever we desire to have. So this is the process. This is also the process through which we reach our ancestors, Pitra, जिनको which we call them Pitra. We also use the same process to reach our forefathers. So whoever has gone into non-manifest state, avyakt state, this is the only way through which you can access that divine power and invite their blessings for whatever you are doing. So this is what I thought we should understand, the broader meaning of yajna, and why do we use fire for this purpose. Now, there's another reason for fire, we should understand it properly today. When we ignite fire, this is the only element which goes upwards. When you put water, it goes downwards. The wind necessarily doesn't go upwards, it can go in any direction. But fire defies gravity, it goes upwards. So, this is the sign that it is actually taking you upwards, urdhgami, and your consciousness is rising. That is one reason. Secondly, The fire also symbolizes the light because it gives you light so that you can see the world. If there is no fire, for example, the sun doesn't rise, then you cannot see the world. So it is also the sign of knowledge that knowledge comes to you. That is why the light is compared with knowledge, enlightenment. That's why we call it enlightenment. So the fire is also associated with light. The fire is also associated with heat. Heat is essential for our survival. We maintain a particular temperature in our body. When this temperature is disturbed, then we are facing our death. So a particular temperature is maintained through this balance of fire. So that is also a characteristic of the fire. Then fire is, as I mentioned earlier, the most important cleaning agent. It can clean a whole city. It can clean everything by consuming it. The fire can consume the whole city. It can consume the whole building. It can consume the whole body. So it is the final, you know, you can say agent which we use for cleaning and which nature uses for cleaning. When the nature uses it, the whole cities and whole, jungles are completely burnt into fire and transformed into what we call smoke. So this is the reason why fire is important and why yajna is important. What is the greater meaning of yajna? So this is what I thought I will mention here. The fire, as I mentioned, has three variations as per the Vedic writings. That is the fire itself, which we ignite. Then the wind, the vayu, which is moving all the time. That is also happening because of the fire. And the aditya, that is the tejas, the form in which the sun appears. And that is the tejas form. That is also the form in which we are transported into the night when we are in the dream state. In the dream state, everything happens in the tejas form. So that is also, in a way, the third form of fire, that is aditya or tejas. So all this is very important to understand the subtle meaning behind yajna and why do we perform them. Now, verse number 12. So let us see what is the verse stage. So we already saw verse number 11, where Lord Krishna very specifically told what is the four elements of a sattvic yajna. The four elements, that is without desire, do it as a duty, eh? Do it as, full satisfaction of your mind, and then do as per the prescribed procedures which are defined in Shastras. So these are the four elements. If we observe all these four elements, then the yajna is sattvic. So whatever we do, for example, if we eat our food, then we should eat our food as duty, and we should use, you know, the good quality elements. We should prepare the food in a proper and healthy atmosphere, as stated in the previous 3 4 verses, and we should eat that food that will nourish us automatically properly. So eating the food is also yajna. Taking a bath is also yajna. You go for a work, you go to your work in office, that is also yajna, because if you do your work properly, the transformation will happen in your work in the office. The desire to work in the office is the fire, and the people whom you are using or the instruments you are using, that becomes som. So you use those instruments to transform the work of that institution into a higher level. So that is what yajna is. So in that sense, a student is also performing yajna by, you know, imbibing new knowledge. His desire to acquire knowledge is fire, and the knowledge which he grasps through his teachers and through his books and through his friends is the som. So the combination of the fire and the som becomes yajna. And if he does in by following these four, principles, that he's doing it as a duty, he's doing it without any desire, he's doing it with complete purity, and he's doing it with complete satisfaction of his mind, then yes, that will be like yajna, and that will be sattvic yajna, not only yajna, but it will be sattvic yajna. So this is what sattvic yajna is. Then let's go to verse number 12. परंतु हे अर्जुन, केवल दंभाचरण के लिए अथवा की फल को दृष्टि में रख के जो यज्ञ किया जाता है, उसको तू राजस यज्ञ जान. नाउ वी नो मैनी पीपल, even students for example, they go to university just to show that I'm a student. They have 10-year plan, 20 years plan to stay in the university just to show off or to win an election, to become a politician. Yeah? So their purpose is not duty, their purpose is not without desires, their purpose is to show off, that is dambhacharan. And then there is a desire that you want to become a politician, you want to rule the university, you want to create commotions in the administration. Now, all those will actually lead to what we call Rajasyak. So, that is an example for that. But some people perform yajna in the temple just to show off to the others that I'm a religious guy. There are many people I know, they perform yajna just to acquire fame, just to show that I'm highly religious, just to show that I'm a good person. I'm thinking about others. So that kind of feeling that you want to show off, or you have desire to acquire something directly or indirectly, then that particular yajna, whether it is done in the form of your day-to-day activities or whether it is done in the form of yajna, that is we normally understand yajna, that you put ahuti in the fire in a temple when the priests are reciting and chanting certain mantras. Now if that yajna is also done with some desire or to show off, then it is rajas yajna. It is not the pure yajna which should be there, not the sattvic one. So this is Rajas Yajna. Otherwise, normally we don't think that Yajna can be Rajas, but this is what a very profound explanation has been given by Lord Krishna here. Now let's go to Tamas Yajna. Yajna can also be Tamas. People won't believe it, but it is true. That is what Lord Krishna has said and said very clearly in this verse. शास्त्र विधि से हीन, अन्नदान के रहित, बिना मंत्रों के, बिना दक्षिणा के और बिना श्रद्धा के किए जाने वाले यज्ञ को तामस यज्ञ कहते हैं. Now this is also, I have seen this kind of yajna also. There are a lot of people who pretend to be saints, sadhus. They put on gerwa clothing. They demonstrate that they are sadhus. And they perform yajna without knowing what they are doing. They don't know anything about Shastra. So they do it without any prescribed procedure. Then they do not do any donation afterwards. Now, Annadan. Now, Annadan was very important in those days because actually monetary value, firstly, monetary value was not important because ultimate, what you call objective of money is to buy food, to buy habitation, to buy clothing. So those people who are able to provide food, habitation, and clothing, that was considered as higher than higher donation, higher care for others than giving money. Now, today, money has replaced all that. People believe that they can buy whatever they want to buy. So, money has replaced Annadan or Vastradan or, Bhavandan. That has been replaced by money. Anyway, that is the modern development, but the idea was to provide uh, to the deprived class of the society the food, the housing, and the clothing so that they can live comfortably. And that was normally done after performing yajna. That was part of the yajna, in fact. That was the real yajna in that sense. Then, bina dakshina ke. Now, dakshina is a very profound word. Dakshina is the word which is not easily understood. Dakshina is not only giving money to others, but it is firstly giving money and then expressing your gratitude to the person that you agreed to accept my money. It is the patrata. You select a person who is uh, profound, who is knowledgeable, and you request him to accept your money, and then you express your gratitude to him that you agreed to accept my money. That is dakshina. So dakshina is actually leading to a greater cause because such a person will use that dakshina for enhancing goodness of the larger number of people. Like for example, somebody is given an award. As part of the award, he gets, say, for example, 10 lakh rupees. Now he uses that 10 lakh rupees for further enhancing goodness in the society. So it is exactly the same. Dakshina is that you identify a person who is a good recipient and you request him to accept Dakshina. And once he accepts that, then he will use it for further enlightenment in the society or further betterment of the society. So that is Dakshina. And Bina Shraddha. So we know many people, if you think about it, you will find many people who do yajna without following the scriptures, without giving proper donations, without giving proper dakshina, and without having shraddha or without having the uh, true respect for that particular uh, event. So that kind of thing, if it is done, it has been described as tamas yajna. It is not going to lead to anything good in life. That is what Lord Krishna has said. So these four verses, three verses rather, 11, 12, and 13, they give us a very profound knowledge how we can convert our life into yajna. If we do everything in life as duty without any desire, we do it as per the prescriptions of the Shastras, and we do it with total faith of our mind. These four characteristics which he has described in verse number 11. If we do that, then our whole life becomes yajna. And once you become yajna, then you become yukt and you become yogi. So this should be our approach in life, that how we can convert every action which we perform on daily basis, where we can follow these four fundamental principles so that the whole life becomes yakya. Whether we talk to somebody, whether we do our work in office, whether we are working as a doctor, whether we are working as engineer, whether our relationship with our spouse at home, with our children, whether relationship with our friends, with our neighbors, If we do following these four principles as our duty, without any desire, with total devotion of mind, and in accordance to the prescribed norms of the society or the Shastras, then you are converting your life into yajna. And that is the purpose of these verses. That is what he is telling Arjuna. That Arjun, if you fight this war as duty, because Kshatriya, that is your duty, without any desire, whether you will win the war, whether you will lose the war, whether you will become the king or not, doesn't matter. No desires. How your enemies will be, how what will happen to them, no desires. And with your complete devotion of your mind, with total dedication of your mind, the word which is uh, samadhai, Sanskrit word samadhai, that you are fully reconciled to that process. And then you do it as per, you know, the, the defined rules of the game, the Shastraj, then you will be converting your life into yajna. Then you don't have to think whether you are doing wrong or you are doing right, or you are killing somebody or not killing somebody. That becomes irrelevant. So this particular verse number 11, it gives us the key to improve our life. This is the key which we can adopt in every situation wherever we are. These four principles which he has mentioned, I think they are the one which can transform our life. Our life can become yajna. Yestvayam mana samadhai afala akanksharbhi vidhi drashta. These are the four fundamental principles which we should understand and we should follow. So I think I'll stop here today, and I will request all our friends that let us think about these four principles which Lord Krishna has enunciated in this verse 11, how we can use those principles in our day-to-day life and convert our life into yajna. And yajna, as I mentioned earlier, as defined in the Vedic literature, has a wider connotation. It is a connotation not confined only to the fire and ahuti. It is a connotation which is encompassing the entire lifestyle which we perform, all the activities we perform on day-to-day basis. It is also uh, being performed by nature in variety of ways. The nature is performing yajna. If we are having crops in the field, that is also the result of yajna. If we are having rainfall, that is also the result of yajna. If the seasons are changing, that is also the result of yajna. If there's a gravity working in this universe, that is also the impact of yajna. So the nature is performing yajna in variety of ways, and those yajnas are responsible for systematic functioning of nature. Similarly, we can also convert our day-to-day activities into yajna and then purify our own self and convert our life into a sattvic life, a life which is full of enlightenment, a life which is united with the divine powers, a life which is uh, dedicated to the goodness of the society as a whole. So this is what I would like to mention today about yajnas. So let us resolve that we will try and convert our life into yajna. Thank you so much.